Hi, it's Russ here at Makerspace with our brand new rigid 13-inch thickness planer. I'm just going to do a quick tool orientation for you here. So when you first pull the tool out here, back side of the machine here, you've got your power cord, you have your dust collection port, and you have your outfeed table that gets folded down. First fold that down, I want to just check, make sure it's clear of debris from there. Front side of the machine here, we have our infeed side of the machine. Infeed table comes down, and just we have our power switch here. First thing we're going to look at is height adjustment on the carriage. So it's done by this crank here. Most important thing with that is just to make sure that we unlock the carriage here before you do any height adjustments. And as you're planing, you want to make sure if you're doing height adjustments that you also unlock in between. So if you have any resistance when you're adjusting the carriage, then it probably means you have this locked and you want to stop cranking, unlock, and then make your height adjustments. So when you're first, the carriage locks all four corners of the blade carriage and keeps it in place so that your planing is consistent. On here we do have what's called the indicut. If you have a piece of wood, you can place it here, and this will tell you your depth of cut. So you can adjust up. Actually, one thing I'll show you first is that on all four corners of the carriage here, the cabinet, we have locking casters. We will put in place and things will stay in place. So when you first start out planing, you want to adjust the carriage to close to the height of your wood. It's best to take light passes. This is not a heavy duty machine, it's a 13-inch wide planer. And if you're doing wider boards, hardwoods, you want to do light passes of a 16th to a 64th of an inch. And you can slide your piece of wood in here. You're going to go down, and the indicator here will tell you how much of a pass that you're doing. Carriage lock, unlocked, locked. Before we do any height adjustments, you want to unlock and then up and down here. So clockwise is up. You can see it coming up, away from the wood, and then down is toward your wood. And that's going to dictate how much you're planing off your wood. Before you start with it, this machine does have what's called an indicut, and it's just a small knob here that will let you know how much you're going to be taking off your piece of wood. So you can, when you're first setting up your first plane, you can bring it down, and you'll start to see as you come down, now it's indicating how much would get planed off the wood. You want to start at, this is a 64th of an inch, 1/32. 64th is a good starting pass without taking off too much material and seeing things where things are. Once you set your height, you can lock your blade, make your first pass. This machine also has a preset cut where you can set different heights if you're doing repetitive planing. So if you find that you're trying to adjust the blade and things don't move, first make sure you're unlocked, and then if you're coming down and hitting resistance, stop, check and make sure this indicut is off and out of the way. And so you want to start off with a light pass on your first pass just to check where the planer's at. And then you can lock down your blade and do your first pass. When you're setting up to plane, there's a few things you want to do before you turn the machine on. First is you want to set up your machine and lock all four casters so that the machine will stay in place when you're planing. You also want to make sure that your infeed area is clear and you have enough room to pass your piece of wood in without any obstruction, and then make sure that your outfeed area is clear as well, so that you have room to take the piece of wood out of the machine without hitting anything or any obstructions. Another key is with this machine is to make sure that we're using the dust collection system on this. And so before you even set up with the machine, you'll go across the room, check the level in the dust collector, and fire that system up. A few points, we have our dust collection port and our outfeed table. And down here you can see we have our locking casters. Those just get set on all four corners, just like that. And then once you put it away, you can just release them, just like that. So when we're hooking up our dust collection, just this hose here fits in like this, and then you open the gate here, just like that. That will make sure that majority of what the planer produces goes into our dust collection system. One key point you want to do with your wood that will help prevent snipe on your wood when you're doing longer pieces is to create some support on the outfeed side. You have this, and so as the longer piece of wood comes out of the planer, if it's supported, you'll get much less snipe on the end of your board. So, and we're also making sure that on the outfeed side here, we've got room for a piece of material to come out of the machine and be clear and not hit any obstructions or run into anything as it gets planed. So you're free and clear. In terms of setup, so just when you're setting up your workspace to plane, you want to position the planer, I think running the cord around this side here, and making sure that when you go from the infeed side to the outfeed, you don't have any cords to trip over. You're going to make sure all four corners are locked down. You have a longer board. You've got clear room for your infeed, and you can practice coming to have your board on the outfeed to make sure that you're clear on both sides. It's always a great idea to sort of practice before you actually turn the machine on and run your first piece of board through. So if you've been using the machine and the overload breaker pops, if it's been overloaded, there is an overload breaker here. So when that happens, first thing you want to do, unplug the machine. Then you can, if you have a piece of wood in the machine, you can unlock, raise up the blade, and release your piece of wood. Okay? And then what you're going to do is you want to let the motor cool down. So you can leave it off for a few minutes. The manual says 15 minutes, and then you can reset your breaker using this button here. And that's if the machine gets overloaded and the safety breaker pops. Quick final recap. Once you're done planing, just putting the tool away, close up, unplug, you can unlock casters. We're going to close the dust gate, and the tool can get parked against the wall here. Just like that. The next person.